Good afternoon, everyone. It's not quite 7 o'clock yet. We always get started on the live view a little bit early. So if you're tuning in, you should be seeing us here shortly. Go ahead and get all your stuff together. Let me make sure I have all my stuff together. Hope everyone is doing well. Hope everyone had a wonderful week. Hope everything has been going good for you. Hope you did your homework. I'm a little over 21, so let me get my second pair of eyes. Let me log in to make sure I can see all of those comments. Okay. Is that zoomed in?
Oh, no, it wasn't. Now it's zoomed in.
No, it's not zoomed in?
Now it is.
Okay. We're going to bless God for the camera people who understand how to work the tripod and zoom in all the way. So that's wonderful. Let's see. with our Bible study. We're going to ask Sister First Lady to go ahead and open us up with Bible proceeding.
Let's go to prayer. Father God, we thank you once again for allowing us to continue our prayer, dear God. We thank you, God, for the teaching on tonight, dear God. We ask that you open our hearts and our minds to receive what your word has to give to us, dear God. Bless the teacher, dear God. Bless those that are here. Dear God, bless those that are on their way. God, we just thank you and we give praises to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay. So, last week we had homework and we started our new topic of church behavior. And church behavior being that basically it's a function of what has been taught to you. And let me say this is somewhat going to be sometimes a touchy subject. So if there are questions that you have that you don't want to verbalize, you can text me, instant message. Also, you can do it via our email, and we'll respond to the emails during, of course, the service, or also during the email. We can respond that way. But if it's during the class, you can just text it. That way you don't have to be out or have your name showing on the live, and I'll still make sure that I answer it without exposing certain questions. Some people really don't like to ask because they are really sensitive, and people don't want to incite an argument. So, what was that? Isn't that nice? Okay.
Oh, that's
Okay.
just go ahead and take it from.
Cool. So, we had homework from last week. Did everybody do the homework? Okay. Let's do this. If you will, grab this mic. We should have brought the batteries, but we should be able to. I want to hear what your answers were so go ahead, since you have the mic, you can go ahead and start first. What did you have for, what did you have for your answer? Everybody, first of all, what was the homework?
What can your dress say about you when you walk into church?
What can your dress say about you? This is as you're walking through. When someone first come in. Is that still going? Mine has stopped. It looks to me still going. Okay.
I think that it can tell your position in the church, how they had the priests dress up in certain garments. So that way you can tell, if you walk into a church and you see the bishop up there in his robe with his adornments on, that lets people know who's who in the church.
Okay. So your answer, it can tell the position in the church.
Yes.
Okay.
From what I got from homework and studying how people should dress, if you don't dress like that, I guess you can assume the opposite. You assume a lot about their character if you know how things should be done in church. Or if you have an idea of how things should be done in church as far as dressing modestly. For example, the Bible talks about a woman dressing modestly. So if you see a woman not dressed modestly in church, you may assume that she doesn't know church etiquette or assume things about her character.
Okay.
I would say that
how you dress can also speak to how you value yourself or what your values or morals may be. And just kind of the status that you hold yourself to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. These are some good answers.
I'm trying to think, I don't know right now.
Hmm?
I don't know right now.
Okay.
About the same thing everybody else said. When you walk in church or if anyone sees me in church, you should know, well, really, to me, you can't assume what a person is by how they dress because you just don't know a person. But to look at a person that's hands are down or hands down, you're gonna assume that they're unlearned and don't know the proper way to dress in church, and you may even think that they're thuggish and all of that because of how they present themselves.
Okay. So, you in Facebook land, if you just put that there. If you want to type your answers, but we were looking at again what your dress can say about you if someone was to walk in. Now, here's the thing that I want to make clear. We can talk a lot about what someone should should not, you can't assume by what people, dress. You can't say what a person is like. Yes, it's an assumption. We know that. Yes, we know that, quote unquote, we should not make assumptions. Having said that, this is the first impression that people get of you. Imagine going to a job interview, dressed dirty, with holes in your clothes. You may be a PhD scholar, and they assume that you're not. Well, you can fight the argument all day long about you shouldn't assume I'm this. Well, that's how you presented yourself. And it does go to the fact of, well, first of all, if you learned, you know that this is what people first see about you. So why would you even want to make that impression? So, yeah, we can talk about it shouldn't be assumed, but then again, we can also talk from the other angle. Why would you even present that? Then, it does say a lot about you, first off, as far as just how do you perceive yourself. The clothes and things that you wear is a statement of how you feel sometimes. It's a statement of how you feel about yourself. It's a statement about you. Then it goes one step further. When I know better, I know that you're looking, and I know that the first thing you're going to do is look at how I'm dressed. What does that say then? I need to make sure that I'm putting forth the correct image. Okay? This is what the dress code says about you. This is what people first see. Now, you got to realize there are two sets of people that walk into church. What are the two sets of people that walk into the church? Speak loud so everybody can hear you.
I said saved or
saved or unsaved. Then I'll go one step further if you want to take it again. Learned or unlearned. If you're saved, we know that this is how things should be because we've been taught. And we can also even go one step further and say somebody may be having an off day, right? It's a difference. We preached a message the other day talking about the 100 sheep. If one sheep goes astray, that's considered a lost sheep, correct? The other 99 are what the shepherd considered safe. How can we make that assumption? He left them unguarded. Why did he leave them unguarded? To go and get the one sheep that was lost, correct? So therefore, he had a certain comfortableness to say, I think I can leave you alone for a minute. We as parents know what that's like. We call them latchkey kids. We couldn't wait till we can leave you alone, right? You can't leave a 1-year-old at home by themselves. You're going to jail at 3 o'clock. We know that's just not how it works. Now you're 13, I should be able to leave you at home from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock. I should be able to go to the store and get us something and hope the house don't burn down in 2 hours, right? Right. When you 18, I'll leave in January. Notice I started off with a month. So you know what's about to happen, right? I'll come back next year and expect my house to be good. Right? Why? Because there's certain things that as you get older, you should know. So this is what we want to think about when we're talking about what people are looking at. First of all, we need to break it down to who we're really trying to think about what they're looking at. We shouldn't be really concerned about what the saved people are looking at. Those are the people who know better, right? I'm not too much concerned about the saved people. The problem is, it's the unsaved that we need to be concerned about. It's the unsaved that we need to be working on and making sure that when they walk in, they don't turn around and walk back out. Because quote unquote, church is for everybody, but who needs church more? What did the Bible say? Only the sick need a physician, right? That's why Jesus was with the sinners and the publicans and all them. He said, these are the people that really need it. Why do I need to eat with you? You should already know my word, right? So I'm not concerned about the church people, even though we got some issues there. But overall, I'm not concerned about the church people. I need to make sure that my dress does not offend those who are trying to come in to get help. So that's what I need to be thinking of when I'm dressing for church. Now, we talked about this last week as far as behavior. Let me say this now. We're going to start getting to some specifics. The first specifics that we're going to talk about is general. General meaning if you're an usher, if you're a musician, if you're a deacon, if you're a mother, if you're a minister, if you are a member. This rule goes for everybody. Why? Because this encompasses everybody. When you first see whoever, how they look is going to say a lot. And it's going to say a lot about your church. Now, sad to say, when you go into a business and you see all of one kind, we kind of get a stereotype of what this business is going to be like. If you go into another business in a different part of town, you may know what you think it's going to be like. Why? Certain things give off certain things, right? Where you're at, the type of people that's there. Go to a lawyer's office, everybody's wearing bikinis. You would think you're in a strip club. Go to a strip club, everybody got on 3-piece suits and a business briefcase on stage. You thinking something is wrong, right? Why? Because the way you dress is going to portray you. Now, here it is then. Let's go to this point. Matthew 22, verse 11. And again, I'm going to be calling out these scriptures. So we're going to be moving. Matthew 22 and 11. What does your dress say about you? That was the homework, and we're going as far as dress code. If someone walks into the church and they see you, what do they get about you? And this is what's going to go a little bit further. Not only, as we just talked about, do they get an impression about you, but they also get an impression about the church. It doesn't, again, who committed the crime? Anitra didn't commit the crime. A member of Rapha Ministry located at 4125 where the pastor is Alan Adams robbed the bank. And they're associated with the non-denominational church, who is also associated with Kojic, who is associated with Pope Bishop John Paul, who with the Vatican was just there last year. Now, Anitra went and robbed the store, but now everybody named and got drugged through the mud. So it not only says something about you, it says something about the church. Now, when you now have put a bad image on the church, whose fault is that? Whose fault is that? Pastors. That's the issue. Whose fault is it? Pastors. When God comes and said Anitra was dressed wrong, do we remember Revelations 2 and 14? Do everybody remember 2 and 14?
Yeah.
What did 2 and 14 say?
You said you have done everything right, but you didn't stop them.
You didn't stop them. They are still there. So what you wear is now my responsibility. True enough, it's a personal thing on you, Ezekiel, in that they will die and it'll be counted toward them, but you didn't tell them. So I can't just let you come in here any kind of way. You all in my business, Will. You all in mine, literally. Because if you come in here and you dress wrong, once again, that's on me. And then the person who comes in who's trying to get some help may get the wrong impression because you dress wrong. And then I got to, again, answer for a person who was hurt. Now, watch this one. And this is a point that I'm about to make. Matthew 22 and 11. Everybody got Matthew 22 and 11? Matthew 22 and 11 says this. And when the king came in to see the guest, he saw there a man which had not on a wedding garment. Let me set the stage for you. He said, there is a feast going on. Go and get everyone and tell them this is a feast. And bring them into the feast. Everybody with me? So they went into the hedges and the highways and the byways, and they told everybody, hey, there is a feast. You know how we do, free food, free food. And the place began to get packed, right? But there's an issue. When the king, the master, the head, came in and saw there was a man there which had not on a wedding garment, he said unto him, friend, how camest thou in thither, not having a wedding garment? And he was speechless. Then said the king to the servants, bind him hand and foot, and take him away, and cast him into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Let me see if I can bring this a little closer to home. For us who know better, you're supposed to do better. You knew this was a wedding feast. Why would you come here not dressed appropriately? Did you haphazardly wake up in the church and find yourself here on Sunday? Or did you know you was coming to church? You knew you was coming to church, so you should have had on the proper attirement to come to church. Now, what's the difference again? There are two people that come into the church. Learn, unlearn, saved, unsaved. Some people may be walking down the street and God touched them and they see the Rapha Ministry sign and say, you know what? They hear the noise going on and say, you know what? Let me go in here and see what's going on. That's not you. So, for the person who comes in here in a miniskirt, for the person who comes in here drunk, for the person who comes in here looking any kind of way, that's them. That's not us. When he said you knew where you was going, you knew this was a wedding feast, you knew that you should have had on the proper attirement. You didn't do that, it's time for you to go. Here's the next thing. That means that we have to be prepared. It says something about being prepared. Yes, it's time to go. Are you prepared to go? Have you made the necessary arrangements? Have you done what you were supposed to do? Now, here's the thing. He said, and I want to specify, everybody pay attention, and I want us to say it in unison. Type this in on Facebook Live. Verse 11, and when the king came in to see the guests, he saw there a man which had not on a, read it aloud. Had not on what?
Wedding garment.
Wedding garment. What does that tell you? You got to speak loud.
There's a certain attire that was expected.
Not only there's a certain attire that was expected, there's a certain attire that is what?
Required.
Required. Not only required, you said it. Appropriate. Not only appropriate, let's get to these words. What kind of garment was it?
A wedding.
Wedding garment. When you see a person with the collar, you see a person with the cross, you see a person with the staff, what kind of attirement is that?
Pope.
Pope, priest, bishop? Why? That's the garment. This is what I want to get to. If someone was at the club Saturday night and they come to church and you got on the same outfit that you wore to the club Saturday night, they saying, I'm in the same place I was last night. There should be church attire. There's a problem that we have gotten so lax that when we come for church, we dress the same way we go when we go to the club. So when they come in off the streets, they don't know if they're in a club or they're at church. We looking just like they look in the club. There should be church attirement. That's why here at Rapha there are certain things that I'm saying we should not wear to church. Their garment, now watch this, watch this. Per se, is there something wrong with some of the other clothes? I'm not necessarily saying there's something wrong with the clothes, but it's certain clothes that should be for certain places. How many people, especially women, wear their wedding dresses to the mall. You go and spend hundreds, some people thousands of dollars on a dress you wear once in your life. Why? It's a wedding dress. It's meant to be worn to a wedding. Men go and get tuxes, which is why a lot of people rent them, because I'm only wearing them once. I don't need to buy it. This is a one-time occasion only. So we need to have the church attire so that when people walk in, they know where they're at. Okay? Now, here's the next thing. Let's now get into some church stuff. If you are not properly dressed, what can that say, the homework, to the person? It's now confusing them, possibly, especially when they're coming looking for help. When they are coming off the street, which I promise you God is going to be sending them, when they come off the street and they come into the church, we need to present ourselves as God's people. We need to present ourselves as the people that can help them. We need to present ourselves as people that are here, that is, people are looking for something different than what they're going through. If I'm in hell, I don't need to go to hell. I need somebody that can help me get out of here. How can I do that when you look just like me? Remember how I always tell the same story? God is good. God is great. He's a wonderful God. Why don't you try him? Why would I want to on that testimony? It'll look like you happy with him. And you want me to, you know what church you go to? Not that I really want to visit, I'll make sure that I never go there. Because you don't look like you happy. Right? Notice, when they have people eating this food, they tell them smile. Make it look like it's good. Imagine you taste some food and you do the commercial, oh, this is nasty, that's You think anybody gonna want to eat that food? No. So you've got to let people know how good God is. But they will never get past that if our attire, if our first image, people always talking about dress to impress. We all heard that when you go on interviews. The first thing they see is how you look, right? It's the same thing in the church. You have to look the part. Now, let's go to Leviticus chapter 19, verse 14. Leviticus 19, verse 14. Leviticus, that's in the Old Testament, toward the beginning of the book. Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, third book. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 14. Therefore, I'm saying now, so since we know that there's a certain dress, if you're not dressed appropriately, you're out of order, number one. Number two, you could possibly cause somebody a problem. If you cause somebody a problem with the way that you're dressed, now you have offended somebody else. Leviticus 19 and 14 says this: Thou shalt not curse the deaf, nor put a stumbling block before the blind, but shall fear thy God. I am the Lord. Once again, let's talk about this. We all know the church saying, I once was lost, but now I'm found. I once was blind, but now I see. What is the common denominator? Lost and blind is the same thing. It was the people who are not saved, the people who are unlearned, the people who are coming in. So if you are putting a stumbling block for the blind, those people who are walking in off the street are blind. Those people, why? Because the devil has blinded them. They have not accepted Christ. They have not come into, according to the scripture, the marvelous light. They have not had, think about it, Paul, literally, when he was on the road to Damascus, what happened? He was knocked off of his beast and was blinded, literally. And he was blind for some days, right? When he got introduced to Christ and they prayed for him, the scales fell off his eyes and he was able to see. So this is not only literally but figuratively. Do not put a stumbling block in front of the blind people. A stumbling block can be anything. Go to Romans 14 and 13. Romans 14, we're back in the New Testament, and I'm flipping back and forth for a good reason. What am I saying about flipping back and forth? I can't hear you. It's in the New Testament and the Old Testament. I like to dispel a lot of stuff as I do teaching. There are some people that say, oh, we only read from the New Testament. There are some people that say we only read from the Old Testament. There are some people that say only the New Testament is accurate. There are some people that say only the Old Testament is accurate. Both of them are saying the exact same thing. Romans 14 and 13 says this. Romans is in the New Testament. Romans 14 and 13. We just read, don't put a stumbling block in front of the blind, right? I didn't say it, it's in the Bible. We read it, right? 14, 13 of Romans says, let us not therefore judge one another anymore, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way. Nobody should put a stumbling block in his brother's way, an occasion to fall. Now he went further. Let's just not limit it to the blind. I can say nobody, the blind, the unblind, your brother, your sister, anybody. Don't put a stumbling block in anybody's way. Why? Because then you're going to be held accountable. Now let's go 1 Timothy and let's get into some stuff. Ooh, 1 Timothy, keep on going past Romans. 1 Timothy 2 and 9. 1 Timothy 2 and 9. First Timothy 2 and 9. 1 Timothy is a little bit past Romans. Closer to the back. Keep on going. You're going to get Romans. You're going to get 1 Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians. You're going to pass all that. 1 Thessalonians, 2 Thessalonians, and then you come to 1 Timothy. 1 Timothy 2 and 9. And it says this. In like manner also, that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly array. I'll read that again. In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with braided hair or gold or pearls or costly array. Now let me read it in the Amplified Version. Also, I desire that women should adorn themselves modestly and appropriately and sensibly in seemingly apparel, not with elaborate hair arrangements or gold or pearls or expensive clothing. Now, let me speak to the elephant in the room. Why is it that it talks about women dressing in moderate apparel?
Don't want to,
Whenever you,
don't want to have anybody be tempted, showing certain parts of your body, the temple in the middle, in the church.
okay, pretty much yes, but there's an underlying factor that was not brought out. Hopefully, speak loud because we want everybody to hear. The question is, why is it that it's talking about women should dress moderately?
I mean, she said what I.
Okay, loud.
Because men are more, they have a better or more frequent habit of looking and lusting after women.
Say it again.
They have a more frequent habit of looking and lusting after women.
That's the answer. Because it's the man that is the one that is normally doing the looking. It's the man. Pastor, dirty old man. Well, don't give him nothing to look at. Did you really just say that? Yes, I did. It's a problem because 9 times out of 10, when you look at mostly anything, it's the man. Now watch this. The reason for that is because, see, this is where it gets into real biblical stuff. Who was made for who? Woman was made for man. Man wasn't made for woman. Man was made first. He's already there. So the woman was made for man. So therefore, that's why the man is looking. Now, we're going to get into some stuff about women dressing. That's why when you go through and you find most of the stuff about dressing, it's normally about the woman. Think about this. Look at 90% of the commercials that you see on TV. And we all know about the commercials now, they're getting crazy. How often, though, do you see scantily clad men? Most everything is the woman. You want to sell a hamburger? I'll never forget, I remember seeing this Hardee's commercials. This woman was in a bikini, biting a hamburger. What does a woman in a bikini have to do with a Hardee's hamburger? Yes, sir.
Sister Anitra said it, and I was going to say it piggybacked off of what First Lady said, but I think a lot of trouble you were having finding the answer was in our wording, because the Bible talks about the woman being the weaker vessel emotionally. However, in this instance, what we're talking about, the male is the weaker vessel just because how he is designed. Like you said, the woman's designed for the man. If a woman, and I've heard a lot of women talking about it, when they're sitting in the front, they cover their knees. Why? Because men have a tendency to look, and like you said, certain church attire, we're not saying that your pencil skirt, same thing, it's fine on me, it looks fine on me. That's fine, and it may work for you, and it's not wrong, but it becomes wrong now because you put it in front of a man, it becomes tempting in this setting, right? Is that what we're talking about as far as church? Like you said, certain things, church attire.
your church attire should, because a lot of women say, I want to flatter my body, I want to feel pretty. Well, in church, you can't really adorn yourself too.
Okay, I'm gonna answer that somewhat, and I think as we go further, is going to answer that more. In this, one, as an individual woman, to say I want to look pretty, there's nothing wrong with you looking pretty. There's something about though the way that you look pretty, if it's going to cause a problem, and if it's modest, and we're going to look at that. Now, also, like you said, in the way that the man was designed, whether you call it at this point, I don't know if it's anything about the weaker vessel of this point, it's just more about how we are designed. A motorcycle is designed to run on 2 wheels. Does that make it weaker? No, that just is just how it's designed. So, I wouldn't say a man is at this point weaker for that, or the woman weaker. No, it's just that this is how it is. That's the design of it. It's not a design flaw. So it's not a design flaw that the motorcycle runs on 2 wheels. This is how it's made. The man was made like that. Now, can he control it? Yes, he can. Now, here's the next thing. Can you help him control it? Yes, you can. And see, this is where we need to look at, and we're going to get into it more, but it says that a woman should adorn herself modestly. Now, here's the next thing, like you were saying, and this is what I was saying, you know, how they say the dirty old man, this, that, and the other, true. Go to Matthew chapter 18. Matthew chapter 18. Verse 6 and 7. While you're getting that, someone type something in, so let me read that. Matthew 18, 6 and 7. They're talking about the woman like to dress to impress, and you know, we like our clothes to stand out, which is what he was saying, and this is something that we're going to go to. Again, there is, Ecclesiastes says there's a time and a place for all things, right? Women like to look a certain way, okay? And we're going to get further into that. Let's go here real quick. Matthew chapter 18, verse 6 and 7. But whoso shall offend one of these little ones which believe in me, it were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and that he were drowned in the depth of the sea. Woe unto the world because of offense. Verse 7. Pay attention here. Woe unto the world because of offenses. For it must needs be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom the offense cometh. What is that saying? Somebody tell me what that's saying. Anybody? Okay. Let me explain the scripture. Women should adorn themselves modestly, right? Why should they adorn themselves modestly? Because they don't want to be a stumbling block. Who would they be a stumbling block for? We're looking at more than likely the unsaved, the unlearned, but they're still a stumbling block, right? But let's say we're talking about the church people. Remember I told you we got both sides? Let's look at the church people. The Bible says that, verse 6, whosoever shall offend one of these little ones, which is the church people who are just maybe not as strong, dirty old man, you offend me, and it's better that you cast into the deep of the sea and a millstone be hanging about your neck. Basically, you need to be drowned, you need to be dead. You should die versus offending one of these little ones, right? Now, watch this. Verse 7. This is the important part. Verse 7 says this. Offenses are going to come. We know that bad things are going to happen. We know that temptation is going to be there. We know that you will at some point mess up. But it's better for you that you not be the person that caused it. Offenses will come. Matter of fact, the word even says in the B portion of verse 7, it says, for it must need be that offenses come. But woe to that man by whom offenses come. Yeah, they coming, but we hope to God that they don't come by you. Which means that, yeah, we can always say that, well, you know, they was going to do it anyway, and this and that, but why would you be the temptation that caused it? Why would you be the catalyst that put it forth in action? Why would you be the one? There's a difference. We don't want to be the one to call somebody to stumble. Now, let me make it extremely clear. If you are Sister Jezebel that continues to dress Jezebelish, Revelations 2:14 says, but I have a few things against thee, because thou hast there them that hold the doctrine of Balaam, who taught Balak to cast a stumbling block before the children of Israel. Specifically, when we talked about that last week, but now it's just making more and more sense. You got people there who are causing other people to stumble. If you find a bad apple, do you let it sit in a barrel of good apples? What they say, one bad apple spoil a bunch? You don't let it sit there. Any farmer knows this information. You go out and you prune, you pick out the weeds. You, even in plants, you cut off bad pieces of the plant because it can ruin the rest of the plant. Why would you allow someone that's in the church continually causing problems to stay there? Now, watch this. For most of us, this does not apply. Woo. So don't get me wrong. The pastor don't come to church looking for people to put out today, put out today, put out today. No, that's not what the pastor does. But if I can bring a track record that I talked to you in January, I talked to you in March, I talked to you in May, I talked to you in August. We put forth a plan in November. You broke it in December. We put forth another plan in January. You broke it in February. I just believe you just ain't trying. This is what we're going to have to do. Do you see? Now, most of us are not that crazy. Some of us will push our luck, but we ain't that crazy. So don't get me wrong. Don't get the impression that, oh, you know, this church is going to be so rough and no. But I want to make sure that we understand we're not going to let things go on continually that should not go on. We want to, let me put it like this. God forbid somebody has cancer. What do they say is the best way to treat it? Anybody know the best way to treat it?
Radiation, you know?
Here's the best way to treat it. It's a trick question. Catch it early. You in stage 1, we got a whole bunch of options. We can possibly try to biopsy it. We can try to cut it out. We can do it. You in stage 4, we need you to call your family. Make sure your will is in order. And pick out what kind of casket you like. That's what they normally do when people are that far, right? It's called terminal. Catch it early. That's why they have women do the breast exams so often. Why? Catch it early. Same thing with this. We don't want it to go on for 7 years and then I come to you, catch it early. I see a problem, we're going to address it. Early. Not later. Early. So, the thing is this. Women are the main ones that are the people who like to show off. Now, I'm going to be talking some bit about women. Okay? Men, that does not make you exempt. I.e., you went to the gym today and you're feeling real good. So I can see George Washington's head on the quarter inside your pants. There's a problem. You got your muscle shirt on and you come to church because you think you're looking great. No. Just like women need to dress moderately, men also need to dress moderately. So don't think that this is not about men as well. You also have a part that you have to play. There's things that are church attire. When you can't even exhale because your shirt button gonna pop, there's a problem. And we know that men like to look, but let's just be honest, there are some women who like to look too. There was a place that I went to, and women were talking about the man's package. Why were they talking about the man's package? Because they can see it in his tight pants. The preacher can't get up and preach because people are looking at the wrong thing. You need to dress appropriately, everybody. Now, you all know me, I like to look at definitions. What is, because now we go to women should dress moderately, right? What is modest? When they say women should dress in modest apparel. The definition of modest is this. You can look it up. There's a few definitions, but they all say the same thing. I picked this one. Of an amount, rate or level, relatively moderate, limited or small. Of an amount, rate or level, relatively moderate, limited or small. Now I hate when they use words and definitions that's basically the exact word. Moderate. Well, that's what we're talking about, but what is moderate? So I looked up the word moderate. Average in amount, intensity, quality, or degree. Average in an amount, intensity, quality, or degree. So what does that mean? Now here we go with the comment that someone put down and also with the comment that was made here now. Basically it means to make or become less extreme. Average. For those of us who know what average is, that means that you don't want to be too far to the right, you don't want to be too far to the left. You want to be average, somewhere in the middle. Yes, ma'am.
There is a difference in, we all like to look cute, okay? You said it some time ago when you were teaching a workshop, and I do it now. You said when you go to the mirror and you dress yourself and you said jump up and down. Because you know we like to dance in church. If you jump up and down and something's popping out, that means you probably shouldn't wear that.
Nonsense.
The thing is this, and we talk a lot, me and my brother. When you're standing with someone and you're talking to them, most of the time, if something's out there, you're gonna look directly at it. because that's right there. And a lot of times we don't consider things to be a private thing anymore. These days, and I mean, I'm not exaggerating, 90% of women's breasts is just out there. And I can't look at you because I gotta look everywhere else because you're just sitting there out. The only thing that's not showing is
the areola.
Thank you. Or, I'm an average size person. There are certain things, if I want to wear something and I like it, then I'll dress it in a way where it's not showing everything. I like certain shirts. If it's too much, I get a camisole, and if the camisole's not low enough, I'll tie that joke up to where it's up to my neck. And I know we like to wear certain things, but there's a way to make yourself look. There's distasteful and then there's tasteful.
Mm-hmm.
No one's saying, because some churches do take things to an extreme. I'm not saying you can't wear earrings. Earrings is not a sin. You can't wear your makeup, but there is a way to look tasteful and distasteful. If I can't look at you as a male or anybody because I'm seeing all your body parts, that's a problem. Or if you walking around and all I see is your underwear, men, because you want to wear your pants all the way down to the base of your underwear. What's the point of wearing pants? But these are the things that we allow to come into the sanctuary. But we have to realize it's not a nitpick thing, and you know they're nitpicking. The Bible says, "Come as you are," and that scripture doesn't mean that, because we know everybody got clothes. It's a choice of what we wear, and it's not saying that you can't come in and look good. You know, I just want to stress that somebody will get offended. They saying we can't come. You can come and look nice, but there's tasteful, and then there's distasteful. There's doing too much. If I can't talk to you because all I'm seeing is your breast, that's a problem.
We'll use the word appropriate because tasteful is subjective.
Look, there's appropriate.
There's appropriate and there's inappropriate. And this is what the problem is. Again, there is church attire. There was a wedding garment. There's church attire. Someone can think white at a wedding may be not tasteful. So again, we don't use the word tasteful. We want to use appropriate. Okay? Yes, sir.
And I guess you kind of answered the question when it comes to appropriate, because like she was saying, you know, you want to look cute, handsome, appealing. But I was thinking about it in terms of like, you know, people who come to church maybe to find a significant other, like you said, because you always want to look presentable, you want to look nice, but to what degree is too much? In high school, we had quarter-length shirts, you know, they pass the fingertips because we don't have a rule book or an outline. And like you say, earrings, some churches say no pants, or no dresses, no
Watch
skirts.
this. And you're absolutely 100% correct on that. And that's exactly where I'm going the next point. In this. First off, let me address this issue. There's something, and it goes back to what this sister said earlier. How you present yourself speaks a lot about how you feel about yourself. So, this is not come catch a man place. So first of all, we've kind of got it backwards. And there is something to be said about looking for a mate in the proper place. You don't go to a junkyard looking for a steak. Right? So I get that. But yet, you shouldn't be coming to church dressing, looking to catch flies. What are you trying to catch? How are you dressing? Why are you coming to church looking like that? You know what I'm saying? So, yes.
I know a rule of thumb that I used to hear a lot was that when you come to church, you're dressing for God. You're not dressing for anybody else. It's like if you were to present yourself to Him, what would you want to look like on today? You give Him your best. So the real thing is, if you are standing in front of your Father, what do you want Him to see? So I think that speaks to the standards of really what you hold yourself and what you're dressed to.
There's something to be said, and again, everybody's bringing up points which are good points, because that's where we're going. Here's the thing. You want to be careful because even